Alright, and we're off. So for those that may not know, this is Celeste. It's a precision platformer with a huge reliance on general movement. So first of all, in the prologue here, we can jump, we can climb walls, and then in the later stage of the game, we can also dash. Unfortunately, more of that already dying in the prologue. Had to run. Classic mistake there. And you'll see OddBod and then more of that jumping a lot, because jumping does save a little bit of time over running here, so do some free time save in the prologue. See, it's about 1 second. So we got a dash here in the end, and we will be able to use that to, well, we're going to abuse that as much as possible here. So we're going to see dash jumps, which is a dash followed by a jump. It gives quite a lot of height and some speed, but not quite as much as a hyper dash. A hyper dash is a downward diagonal dash followed by a jump, and that gives a huge amount of speed, but just not as much height. But it's still going to be used a whole bunch, because speed is important, of course. Also, especially in Chapter 1 and some other chapters, we see it utilizing wall bounces, which is an upward dash followed by a jump, which gives a much higher and what's it called? Higher and sort of longer wall jump. So it's very useful. OddBod there with a very nice reverse extended hyper dash to clear that gap. So you can reverse and extend all types of dashes. Reversing is that you start one way and then end up the other. Pretty simple. Extended is that you hold the dash long enough to actually get your dash back so you can dash twice, which is utilized very, very frequently in this run. Also very much uses just general bunny hopping. When you do a hyper dash, you can bunny hop and just do a short jump on the ground to save most of the momentum. So that can be used in quite a lot of ways to just make sure you have enough speed in certain places. Also used a little bit is wave dashes, which is basically hyper dash, but you start from the air. So you jump and then downward diagonal dash and then jump when you touch the ground. And there, OddBod is now finished up with a 110 for Chapter 1, which is a very, very good time. More of that, had a little bit of trouble here, but he's coming up on the last couple of screens, so we're probably going to see him with a 130, which is a very respectable time. Especially seeing as more of that PB is, I think, 20 minutes slower than OddBod's, so him taking a lead is not surprising. Or OddBod taking a lead is not that surprising. OddBod now starting up with Chapter 2 here. Which of course, is going to introduce some new mechanics. OddBod going for a strawberry. Okay, why not? Yeah, strawberries aren't needed. This is any percent, but he decides to go for one anyway. I'm going to question that, but anyway. OddBod is now activated these dream blocks, so dashing into these dream blocks will send you flying through them for as long as you can, either until you get out of them or until you hit a wall. And if you hit a wall, then you'll die. Not very nice. Now he's in the battle line sequence. So battle line, much like, for example, Shadow Mario and Mario Galaxy, I think, copies your every move, but with a 3-second delay, which means that in these first couple rooms, it's mostly just going to be like one path, and we have to just outrun her. In the later couple rooms, which OddBod is coming up on now, you actually do have to do some backtracking, which means making sure that you know where battle line is going to be important. OddBod clearing out these rooms really, really quickly here, and now onto the movement section. So from here on out on OddBod's screen is just going to be a bunch of really nice movement. A bunch of very nice and also very precise movement, because there's a lot of corners and pillars in your way in the next section here that can mess up your movement. So we'll see how he deals with that. Meanwhile, more of that has also started with the battle line fight a little bit behind there. Still doing pretty good for all sides so far. So this awake section here is that OddBod is in. It's very much about precise movement. So far doing very well. Not really getting stuck anywhere. Nice little corner boost as well. And finished up there with a 155, which is a really, really solid time, so good job. Meanwhile, more of that also in the last couple of screens of the battle line fight there. We'll see how he deals with the backtracking. Oh, accidentally gets a little hit by those bad lines. Meanwhile, OddBod is starting up with a Resort here, and Resort is the cycle-based chapter of Celeste. So we're going to see a bunch of having to deal with cycles, and these dust bunnies are the main reason that there are cycles. They move in a set pattern on a cycle. There's also 2 cycles for most of the rooms, one for entry and one for death. And sometimes getting a death is not only going to lose time for the death, but also might have to, or might force you to use a worse cycle. So hopefully we won't see too many mistakes there. So far, we're doing very well in these first couple rooms here. More of that now also in the awake section there. About to finish up here in a little bit. Also in the chapter 3 there, they introduce keys, and I really hope I don't have to explain what keys do. Should be pretty self-explanatory. OddBod now in the huge mess section here, and this is probably the most annoying part to navigate. There's a lot of narrow pathways that don't really allow you to use like any speed text, so you basically just have to dash pretty precisely to get through that in a good time. So it can be quite annoying to deal with. So our job here is to clean up the huge mess. We do this by going to 3 sections and hitting buttons at the end of them. You can technically do this in any way you want, but of course, being speedrunners, we have optimized this. So we take whatever button is closest to Shiro, the hotel manager, that we have to talk to after every button. So in the air, he's just here to the left of us. He would be there even if we went on another path first. We had to move a lot more through this section, which is just annoying. A key opens up locked doors. Hallelujah. OddBod there is finished up with the second section of the huge mess. More of that, getting the key in the starter of Resort, so a little bit behind, unfortunately, but still on pretty good pace overall for first BB especially. Ooh, nice, just barely gets that cycle. Nice corner boost there to clear that block. Very nicely done by OddBod. Finishing up huge mess here at only like 3 minutes, which is a very, very solid time. Oh, OddBod with a bit of a small death there. Getting into the elevator shaft section here, which is just a lot more. There's just more rooms. Nothing really special here. Just movement and precise platforming. OddBod just getting another swag berry because he can. Sure. I'm gonna give him a piece of my mind for that after this race. Nice chained hypers there to clear that room really, really quickly. Then retrying at the end because it's a lot quicker to just die than having to do the room again. It's used in one other part of the 100% run, since you do keep your key on death. So. Okay, OddBod is going to head into the Ashir fight here. Meanwhile, more of that is just about finishing up before the huge mess, and this is going to start that very soon. So the Ashir fight here on OddBod's screen is just a lot more cycles. This time Ashir, the ultimate manager, also got mad at us, and he's going to be chasing after us. He tracks a vertical position and then attacks after a certain interval. Oh, OddBod going for something in there? I'm not quite sure. Well, okay, I think he was going for the berry actually, but decides against it the second time. But yeah, Shiro distracts vertical movement and attacks on a pattern, giving us a little light there before. Not much of a problem to start, but here in the last couple screens, it can be quite annoying to deal with, especially when you also have to deal with the Dust Bunnies cycles. And especially the last one coming up right now is pretty infamous for being just really, really long, having a lot of mean cycles overall, both with a Shiro and with dust bunnies. So. Making sure to wait here, not to die to Shiro in the last couple of rooms there. 503 Resort is very, very good. So far, a pretty solid run overall from OddBod. More of that. I start up with a huge midsection here and having a bit of trouble here with cycles. They can be really tricky unless you know the very fast strats, which can be kind of difficult to do. So, totally respect him taking it a bit slow. Meanwhile, OddBod though has moved into the Golden Ridge text, and he's not taking anything slow. The Golden Ridge introduced some new mechanics here. We have green bubbles that sort of act like a secondary dash when you touch them in the air, or on the ground, but mostly in the air. We have wind that acts like wind and just pushes you around because that's what wind does. And we also have clouds that act like trampolines for reasons unknown. And the clouds can be used in some interesting ways here. We'll see in a couple screens on OddBod screen, a couple rooms on OddBod screen, where you can sort of get a lot of momentum from them, and if you do it properly. Take another berry. Sure. He was even going to go for the cassette tape. I'm confused. Is that cassette? That's cassette tape. Anyway. You can see a little spiked wall jump there, very nicely done. You can wall jump right underneath those spikes, and as long as you're moving away when you're actually in the hitbox, you will not get killed by the spikes. Used in 3 places in the run. One of them was actually in the last chapter, and I forgot to mention it. Whoops. OddBod over there with a very nice auto-scroll skip there, utilizing the momentum from that. OddBod! Alright. Utilizing movement from moving blocks is very is used a whole lot in this run, so we'll keep an eye on that. It's going to be in the next chapter. There's going to be a lot of that because there's a lot of moving blocks, so we'll keep an eye on that. Some reverse extended hypers there to clear that. Very nicely done. Ooh, that's a pretty tricky strat. Well done there, OddBod. Oh, more of that actually went a different route than OddBod for the Ushiro section and took the towels before the books. Not quite sure why. Maybe it's a lot more trouble with the towel section, which is very possible because that's a pretty tricky section. Second auto scroll there for OddBod. Not much you can do to skip there unless you're TAS. Nice neutral wall jumps there to actually clear that gap very quickly. Nicely done. That's a pretty difficult strat as well. Using the wind cycles there to actually get up there a little bit quicker than you would have without them. And now it's in the harsh wind section here. This is a section where walking is basically not an option. You walk like a couple of pixels per second at most. So you basically have to use your speed tech as much as you can. And there's also snowballs that sort of act like a Shiro, but they come from the right side of the screen and are not nice enough to give us a warning. Ooh, OddBod actually hitting the corner there and getting sent back, and then also getting killed by a snowball. That was very unfortunate. Nice wave dash there to get through the room. Ooh, nice. That was really smooth. As OddBod is here in the harsh wind section, more of that is now in the elevator shaft of the resort and is about to, well, on the way to the Ushiro fight. Oh, there's no strawberry because OddBod is OddBod apparently. I believe it was a 3:06 for OddBod, so it's a very solid time for Ridge, especially taking some strawberries on the way as well, just for no reason. Yes, if you hold a strawberry and the cutscene, it automatically collects. So you should have gone that strawberry. And because you skipped the cutscene, it does that. Ooh, nice reverse wave dash there from OddBod. Very, very smooth. Little skip there, you actually would have to go to the left there on the top to get a bubble, but you're using either a wave dash or reverse hyper or some other thing, you can just get past that pretty quickly. The strawberries are absolutely unimportant in this run. It's an 90% race. They don't really, like, it's not bad to take them per se, you would only lose the time actually getting the strawberry. It doesn't, like, the menu text or anything doesn't really matter. But it's absolutely not important. And OddBod is being a bit of a mean person. No, not actually. He's going for double bubble skip here. It's a very tricky skip where you have to get a corner boost off that section to get enough speed. It's very precise. Okay, it decides to go the normal route. We have to do a pretty precise dash, then a corner boost, and then another dash into the middle block to clear that. It is incredibly precise, and yeah, gives it some tries, but decides not to. More of that now in the Shiro fight there. I think a bit of trouble here with this short, unfortunately. OddBod, meanwhile, is going to meet the new friends of the Mirror Temple, the Seekers here. We'll see in just a second. They will also track Madeline's position and home in to her. They can also break red blocks, like you see here, and they can be used to they can be manipulated to pick up coins later for us to unlock paths and doors. Also, I actually forgot to mention that new what's it called? Mechanics of the Mirror Temple include dash blocks in like these that when you dash in the room they move on their path. You have red bubbles that act like the blue balls but infinitely until you either dash out of them or hit a wall. And I think that's it. There's also switches, but wow, that was a pretty nice little corner jump there by OddBod to clear that room. Very nice. So here you see OddBod utilizing the Seekers quite a lot to get these coins for us, since it would just be blue balls. Did I say blue balls? Well, having a bit of trouble here with this one Seeker. It can be, that's one pretty precise one, if you want to do it the sort of right way, I guess. Yeah, he's having some trouble here, unfortunately. See, there we go. Okay, decides to just kill the Seeker a couple extra times because he wasn't very nice to him, I guess. This strat is my favorite. This room is such a pain as well if you don't know the fast strat, because that Seeker can be such an annoying thing to deal with. So doing that just eliminates most of the. Oh. Don't take the red bubbles into the spikes, OddBod. Okay, meanwhile, moarofthat has now started up with the Golden Ridge as well, and it's moving through this pretty quickly so far. OddBod here on Surge Skip, the biggest skip in the game. Reverse extended dash jump, boom, done. Skips like 2 to 3 minutes, having to get 2 keys and a long red bubble ride, so nicely done. Kills the Seeker there for good measure. Now coming on to the Theo section here, where our friend Theo was trapped in a crystal and we have to carry him to the end of the temple. And you can't dash, and you can't dash when you hold him, and you also walk slowly, but you can do dashes before picking him up, and that lets you keep the momentum as well as get a little bit of speed boost. So that takes 2 minutes. Yeah, okay, not too. It saves a lot of time, at least. By far, it's still the biggest skip in the game. Maybe 1 minute. I don't know, I've just been saying 2 minutes, but. Alright, geez, I'm wrong. I'm so sorry. And he's going for the strawberry. OddBod. OddBod. Why are you doing this? Oh no. Alright, OddBod there in the last room here of the temple, or the last dangerous room. Now the actual last room here, where you just have to move through this room with pulses from the giant eyeball in the end. There you go. That's about it for the last room. Very anticlimactic end. More of that now. About to go for the second auto-scroller here in the Golden Ridge, and coming up on the Harsh Wind section soon. So reflection, new mechanics, feathers let you fly for a little bit. You can control these omnidirectionally, so using analog stick is usually preferred here by most people. There's going to be bumpers that act exactly like pinball bumpers, and there's also leg skip, which is not a mechanic, but there's leg skip. A very precise skip here that saves 4 to 5 seconds. You have to wall bounce there very nicely on third try. Saves like 4 to 5 seconds, and it's also pretty precise, but if you can do it, it's worth going for. You normally would take one of these, the Kevin blocks here, to get up there. And those Kevin blocks are named Kevin blocks because the guy that does the voice is called Kevin. Simple stuff. You dash into them, and then they move towards wherever you dashed. Towards wherever you dashed into them, basically, as long as they can. Ooh, nice little skip there. Yeah, as I mentioned before, utilizing these moving blocks is going to be real important. There's a lot of ways in this chapter, especially, you can do that. You're going to see a very good example of that probably in a couple of minutes here on OddBod's side. Oh, he's going for the bottom path? Alright. Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that room, actually. Normally people go for the top room in the first one, or the second one, I guess. But okay. So there are split paths here, and most runners will go for pretty much the same routes. Apparently OddBod went for the bottom one first. I'm not sure if it's because he missed or not, but hey. Oh, accidentally gets a little bit of bumped in the wrong way there. There we go. More of that meanwhile I start up with Mirror Temple there, so gonna see him trying up the Seekers in a couple minutes, and then before going into this. Yeah, I think OddBod is gonna collect both 100% and 0% of the strawberries in this chapter. Currently OddBod is about a chapter ahead. In reflection. No, the left side is ahead. Goodbye. Don't be mean. So over here, starting up with the Battleline Chase. So after Battleline chased us in chapter 2, we're now going to do the same to her. Here you see a little nice skip here between the spikes. Pretty high risk, high reward there. Normally would have to do this room slower, but if you do this slower, you will also get checkpoints. So by not going the normal route, you skip all the checkpoints. So if you would die in the end, you have to go back to the very start. OddBod now coming up on the last Kevin right here before the actual Battleline fight. We're probably going to see him going for the Battleline boost. Here we go. And oh, he gets stuck in the floor. Has to retry. So there he does a hyper dash, then a bunny hop on the Kevin block. You get a huge amount of speed to get sent into that little tight room, and then you keep that speed with a pretty precise bunny hop to end up in the Battleline fight really quickly. But if you pause and skip the cutscene too late, you'll actually have a pretty low vertical position, which would end up putting you in the floor when the cutscene gets skipped, because the cutscenes do save your vertical position but just changes your X position. So, yeah, that was a bit interesting. That can happen in a couple places. There's a similar glitch actually in the second chapter with the dream blocks. I actually forgot to mention it, but you actually utilize that to your advantage, getting stuck in blocks. So the battle line fight here for OddBod is just a bunch of pretty precise movement here to get through these fight rooms. You just have to get into battle line's face and punch her a lot. So we'll see how OddBod tries to optimize the movement here. So far, a pretty clean fight there from OddBod. He's coming up now in the, I think this is the last room before the second part of the fight. I think. Am I right? Yeah. Yeah, so in this little room here, there's no obstacles. Battleline is getting angrier and turns Ultimate Evil here and decides to throw blocks at us, because you can. Meanwhile, more of that in the unraveling section here with the Seekers, so going to be coming up on the search skip pretty soon, and then moving on to Theo. Meanwhile, OddBod is actually flying through these screens. After a little bit of hiccup there in the start, he's been doing a very, very solid fight. Very last room here now for OddBod on the battle line fight. Pretty long room here. Hopefully he won't get a death here, because it can be very costly. Nicely done. Even with some bumper problems and a weird battle line boost, he's still gonna be able to finish up here with a, I think it's gonna be about 6:45-ish. So, very, very solid time. Yeah, not bad by any means. More of that meanwhile, trying to go for search skip here. Oh, that's a little bit too late, or too early, unfortunately. Let's see here. Oh. Ooh, doesn't dash fast enough this time, unfortunately. OddBod's TV is at 33... or 31 something, sorry. 31-33. According to, what's it called? So Summon here for OddBod is basically a culmination of all of the chapters. Starting up here with the Reflection-esque chapter, and then going through chapters 1 through 5, and then finishing up with the Summit. So it's going to be a lot of the same mechanics that we've seen so far, but just with higher difficulty and utilizing 2 dashes instead of 1, which... We got 2 dashes, by the way. Not sure if you've noticed that. At the end of Reflection, Battleline decides to team up with us, so we get sort of her power and get a second dash, which we're going to use here to clear this mountain. So OddBod's now starting up with the Forsaken City here, and he's going for a gosh darn strawberry. Wait, is he going for the... Wait, OddBod. Yeah, in Reflection, or like right before Reflection, there's this cutscene and you get sent to the bottom of the mountain by Battleline. So, yeah, it's at the bottom. OddBod taking a very interesting route there in the start of this chapter. I'll say that much. It's not going through. Nice little skip there. Now finishing up here with 500 going into 1k, the chapter 2 section. This is a pretty cool section. There's quite a lot of mechanics with the dream blocks you can utilize here. Or mainly there's two. You can jump out of them, which is pretty standard. You get taught that. But you can also actually hyper dash out of them. It's a very precise thing. Gives a huge amount of speed and looks pretty darn cool. So we'll probably see that. There he does one, especially for example. We're gonna see it in about 2 screens from now. We're gonna see that a lot, I think. Ooh. Okay, so right now, oh, misses the block there. Hyper, 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 yeah. Basically, if you see that Madeline has red hair, he did it right. And he gets another strawberry. Oh my god. And another one. Sure. More of that, meanwhile, is in the very end of Mirror Temple, about to go into Reflection here. I saw on his moarofthat's name was like sub 455, please, and so he currently has over 25 minutes to do that, and getting like, for example, a 10-minute Reflection and 15-minute Summit is very doable, so I think we might see him hit that goal and get a PB from him. I actually have no idea how many OddBod has, we'll have to see. I wish I could tell OddBod to stop, but I really can't. More of that now, starting up with Reflection here, Feather Section, then going into the rest, basically. That strawberry is actually pretty intentional, pretty much everyone gets that path. That top path there is a bit faster than going down, so most people get a couple strawberries, and that being one of them. Gets a snowball, very nicely done. He's currently at 11 strawberries. I'm thinking which ones he could take. There are a couple ones he can actually get. We'll see what he does. Nice little skip there with some pretty precise wall bounces. So after this, isn't there one in the very end here he could very possibly take? Let's see. I think there is. Okay, he doesn't cover it. Anyway, coming up now is the 2500 section. This is a really cool section with a bunch of skips and strats to save a bunch of time everywhere. So I'd suggest you keep your eyes peeled a little bit on the OddBod screen here. There you do a nice little dash jump there to get just enough height and distance to clear that. Gets movement from that dash block. Some ultras there to get through that screen in a really quick fashion. Key skip here. Nicely done. A couple precise wall bounces there to get just enough height to double dash up and get that key without having to go to the bottom and collect a red bubble. Oh, misses that unfortunately. There we go. Nicely done. Let's see. He's going for door skip. He gets the first one. He gets the second one, and he's saved that 1 second. Good job, OddBod. Alright, very solid 2500 there. Go to 3k now, so. Gonna see checkpoints here starting up at 30, gonna count all the way down to. What is it? 2-1, obviously. Gonna be a lot of vertical movement here, especially in the start. So utilizing wall bounce is gonna be key here. Also here's downdraft. It pushes you down. Gives you higher gravity, lower jumps, less fall time, all the bad stuff you don't want. Oh, unfortunate that there. Going for a skip here, and if you don't actually get the checkpoints, you will have to like go back a checkpoint when you die. So it's a bit risk versus reward there as well. If you're comfortable enough, you can just skip some checkpoints. But if you die like that, you're gonna have to go back a bit, unfortunately. Okay. He's gotten the 12th strawberry. Goodbye. You know what you need to do. Coming up to the updraft section here for OddBod, where the wind is switched. It's now lower gravity, higher jumps, more fall time. Generally good, however, because we want to speed on this, the long fall time can make some of these checkpoints incredibly long and incredibly punishing to die in, especially the 14th and 13th checkpoints that he's now on. Meanwhile, more of that is now started up with the Badline Chasers, so gonna go into the Badline fight fairly soon. Meanwhile, OddBod is still flying through here, as he's now in the 10 final flags of Summit. More of that now in the war section here before the Kevin ride to the Badline fights. Oh, accidental let there from OddBod. Unfortunate. More of that now going into the Badline fight here. Doing just a very small little boost there. Pretty safe. Oh wait, is OddBod going for that berry? Oh no. OddBod. He's going for the OddBod. Alright, sure, whatever. 13 berries for OddBod. Don't think there's more you can collect now, so goodbye. Now you know what to beat. That's OddBod. Now on flag 3. Almost finished up. It decides to bunny up over flag 2 because he can, apparently. Flag 1 here for OddBod. About to finish up here, and gonna take a pretty solid win here over more of that. And he does the Revo. OddBod. I'm not even. I don't even know if that was on purpose or not. It might very well be. Skipping, retrying instead of skipping the cutscene because, oh god, why not? There we go. 35:06 for OddBod. So congratulations to OddBod for winning that race. That is loud. No, it stops when you actually skip the cutscene. That's why you have to skip the cutscene. Tell my your. So yeah, congratulations to OddBod for that race. Pretty solid run. 13 strawberries. Not sure how I feel about that. More of that now though in the Badline fight here. Still on pretty solid pace, especially since, as his name entails, his goal was a sub 55. So he should only take a couple of minutes at most here for the last parts. So he's on very, very solid pace unless his summit is, well, below standard, let's just say that. Going into the final section here, he still has, what is it? About 18 minutes in total. The last couple rooms should only take like maximum 2 minutes, I guess. So yeah, he's on pretty good pace actually. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled for that. So this last part here of reflection can be quite tricky for the new runners. The moving platforms can easily throw you off. So we'll see how he deals with that. Last room here for Battle Line. The Battle Line fight. A small death there doesn't do much. If he does this room okay, he doesn't die more, he should be on really good pace for... Of course I jinxed it. I'm sorry, more of that. That's unfortunate. No, more of that. Do the feathers, don't choke, no! What have I done? What have I done? How did he live there? Oh my god. Finishing up reflection here. I'm so sorry. He does still have... He's gonna have about 15 minutes left for getting a sub 55. For SPB, it's gonna be pretty close, but it's absolutely doable. We'll see how he does. I believe, and I really don't want my... No, why? No. You can't skip the cutscene yet. Finishing reflection there. After a bit of trouble with a 40-24. So for sub 15, he does have like 14.5 minutes. Very doable. But I can see that it can be tricky. So as he goes through these first couple of rooms, if you're here for Celeste, we do of course have more races at 12 PM, so in just about over an hour, we have a race over on Speed Gaming 4 between Railway and Diamondcraft Ray. So be sure to tune in for that. We also have then we have a break actually until 4 PM. But at 4 PM we do have Bye versus Sound Defense, and if you like OddBod seeing OddBod getting these strawberries, Bye apparently is gonna get even more, he said. So tune in for that to see some random strawberry strats as well. After the bye race, we do also have races pretty much every hour, all the way until 10 PM. Most in Speed Gaming 4 and 3, but then also some other channels thrown in there. So be sure to keep an ear out for where we're gonna go. I haven't said anything about rooms being easy. Okay. All the rooms are incredibly difficult, and more of that will not get them first. That's worse, I think, actually. I mean, I can just say that about Summit. No one has ever finished Summit without dying, I think. Well, it has happened, but not. It's not very often you see that happening, though. Now finished up here with the first, or the 500 meter section here at 8:2:20, which is a pretty good time. So, yeah, I don't know. I think he's on really good pace for PB, so we will most likely see that. Sub 55 is gonna be. We'll see. I think he can do it. It is gonna be pretty close. That's fortunate. Come on, more of that. You can do it. Okay, get through the room. Nice to done. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm a horrible commentator. Oh, he lived that. It's really close to the wall. I thought it would die almost, but gets through. Moving on up. Oh, okay, we're fine. We're fine. We're through. This long room. No one has ever died in this room. That's a joke, because people have died in this room, but more of that doesn't. We're okay. Oh wow, nice, nice diagonal there for more of that. It's pretty difficult actually, so well done. $1,500 here. This is usually seen as the hardest chapter overall for a lot of runners. We'll see how more of that does. Small bit there. Sit down on second try. Oh, yeah. This room can be really tricky. Ooh, that was close. That's an interesting strat. I actually haven't seen that one. Come on, more of that. You can do it. Nice. Takes it slow and gets it. Very nice. Great. Oh wow, okay, we're fine. Celeste Resort can be pretty... That's an unfortunate death there. Resort can be pretty tricky, especially in the start. As you learn the strats, it gets infinitely easier though. So... If you haven't picked up the game at all, or... I mean, do you haven't picked up the game at all, or you're not for speedrunning, do you mean? Teal. This is a pretty long room, so that's going to be pretty costly for more of that, unfortunately. Let's see how it does now. Takes it just a bit slow. I mean, then if you want to speedrun it, then just practice Resort before you start doing runs. That's about it. If you can learn some of the strats, then you can get through that pretty quickly still. Finishing up here the last couple rooms for 1500. He has done fairly well so far throughout most of Summit. And for the last few sections, he has like, what's that? 7-8 minutes left to PB, or to, sorry, not to PB, to sub 55. Which is very doable, so we'll... Hopefully, he won't have too much trouble. Although there are some pretty tough parts coming up. Yeah, I know I jinx. I need to talk about what's happening. It's my fucking job. Oh my gosh. More of that going for the right path here actually instead of the top. Interesting. I'm just hoping that every time I jinx it, I will also be able to counter jinx it with the next jinx. I'm not sure if that's how jinxes work. I haven't studied up on them. Gets to the snowball room first try. That's a very, that's a pretty tricky room. So very well done there. Auto scroll room here doesn't go for the skip, which is very respectable. Pretty difficult skip. So second auto scroll now. Just gonna follow along with the block. I'm assuming. Jinxologist. Oh, okay, there we go. Gets to the room. Last couple rooms. This is very pretty. Not gonna say anything. Just one more room here. See if he goes for the faster or. Yep, he's going for. Oh, doesn't get the dash back. That's unfortunate. Okay, yeah. Goes for a little bit of save. Oh no! Okay, it's fine. Nice save. Very nice save there for more of that. As he now is finishing up here last room of 2K. He's been doing really well for this 2K. Usually the win can be quite a lot give a lot of players trouble, so him doing oh my god. Okay. Okay, even with that death, still a fairly nice 2K. We're not giving him too much trouble there. I do apologize, as he's now moving into 2.5K. We'll see what kind of strats he goes for here. As I mentioned in OddBod's run, there's a lot of strats you can do, but some of them are pretty difficult, so we'll see how much he decides to go for. Nice save there from all that. Let's see if he goes for key skip or not. Nope, decides to go for save route. Fair enough. Maybe not so safe. Okay. This is a fairly new runner, I'd say. He has a 55 or 57 PB, which is pretty high, so we'll see. We are still in the group stages of the tournament here, so there's going to be quite a lot of like differences in player skill. Okay, more of that setting, go for a little safe shot here, very respectable. Okay. I'm gonna assume no door skip. Yep. Looks like I assumed right. Gets to the room, very nicely done. Moving on to the very last room here. This is another pretty punishing room, so we'll see how more of that handles it. Okay. Non 3K. Usually, for like an optimal route, this would still take like 3 minutes. It's gonna be very tricky for him to sub 55, but PB is certainly within reach still, so we will see how he does. Okay. Come on, more of that. We need this. Downward section now. This is also a fairly tricky chapter to get a hold of. Although the deaths are not as punishing as in the updraft, it's just a bit harder because you're just not used to having such low jumps. But so far he's doing... I'm not gonna say anything. Never mind. Nice little strat there. Flag 23. How is it that every time I say anything, he just dies? I feel so bad. $21 there. Almost finished here with the downdraft. Okay. Pretty solid downdraft section overall, as is now going into the updraft section, which, as I did mention earlier, has some pretty punishing depths there, so this might very well make or break the PB, so we'll see how he does there. Okay, here comes the, what I like to call the dreaded 2, 14-13, very punishing and long checkpoints. Taking it slow there, nice, gets through 14 in the first try, very, very nicely done. 13 now for more of that. There's a pretty tricky dash here in the end, let's see. He gets through, very nicely done. Nice, flag 12 now. Or 11, sorry. Final 10. Looking like the sub 55 is out of reach, but he still does have several minutes left for his PB, so I'm gonna hold my breath and not say too much. Goes for the safety checkpoint there, 8, very respectable. Okay, finishing up, or sorry, one last room of the updraft before the no draft section, I guess, I don't know. Oh, okay, it's fine, nice save. Final 5. Hopefully he'll play this pretty slow and safely. That will be more than enough to get him a PB. Flag 3. Pretty tricky feather section here in the end. Okay, takes it slow, nicely done. Flag 2 now. Hopefully he'll do his stamina management properly. Okay, nice save there, not having to take a death. Come on, more of that. You can do it. More of that. Come on. Oh no! Dies in the end of 2. Oh no! What have I done? What have I done? What have I done? I'm so sorry. More of that now on flag 1. Can I finish up here with a 57 something? 57 19. I am so sorry for all the jinxes I did during this. How did I manage that? Still a very solid run overall from more of that. Only being 20 seconds off PB is always a really good thing. So GG to more of that. Congrats to OddBod for that win. Very nicely done. Now we are going to have a break here for Celeste for about an hour. So in an hour on Speed Gaming 4, we do have Railboy versus Diamond Crafter A. So be sure to hop over there in a bit to catch that race. And we have a break after that until 4 p.m. With Hubai and the Sound Defense, and then following up with about 7 races after that as well. So I'm so very sorry for all the jinxes I've done. Please forgive me, chat. And thank you very much for listening and for watching. And well, have a wonderful day, everyone. I'll see you later. Oh, and also be sure to follow the runners. Links are in the chat now, so be sure to give them a follow. Especially OddBod is OddBod has been doing a lot of ARB, so be sure to check that out because it's a very interesting category that deserves more love, in my opinion. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good day. I'll see you.